Happy Friday and welcome to Bethlehem Area Public Library's Crafty Friday tutorials. My name is Janine Santoro. Typically you would find me at the Southside branch of Bethlehem Area Public Library, but today I am here virtually with you as we all are together as one virtual branch. And so I hope you've come ready to do some arts and crafts with us today. Our project is going to be a nail and string art tutorial. And it's going to be a mason jar full of beautiful spring, summer flowers, whatever you decide to do. And it's a very easy tutorial, and you'll only need a few things. To start, you're going to need a board. It could be any piece of wood that you like, anything you have around the house. I know it's weird to just have a piece of wood around the house, but if you have excess wood from another project, or if you've seen any excess wood from something else, from Lowe's or Home Depot, if you've been there. It could be just something this size. This size wood is 18 inches. It's about 7 inches wide and about 1 inch thick. And so this is what I'm going to use for our mason jar string art bouquet. You will also need some tape. The tape will come in handy when we tape down our template, which you can either find online or you could draw it on yourself. And you can either use embroidery thread or for this specific project you could use something a little thicker, so it could be yarn or it could be a thicker string. And you should also use 1 inch nails or maybe something even a little bit longer than 1 inch. It would depend on the thickness of your board. And of course, you would need a hammer for your nails. And the last thing you would need are some flowers, beautiful flowers that you have picked out that you think would go with your decor or that you think would brighten someone else's day if this is a gift. Okay, so gather your objects and let's get started. The first thing we're going to want to do is take a look at your template if you are using one. If not, this is just a mason jar design. It's pretty easy to sketch out in pencil if you wanted to on your board. Otherwise, what you could do is just cut your template out pretty close to the dots or to the line work, and then we're going to tape it to our board. Once you have taped your template to the board, it'll look something like this depending on your template. What I love about this one is that it also gives you little dots, which is great because it will indicate the amount of space between each nail. So sometimes if you don't have dots or if you don't put them in place before you start nailing, some of your nails could look closer to each other than others. So what I love about this is the dots are pretty equally spaced, and so it doesn't have me doing a lot of guesswork. I know I'm going to need about 43 nails, and I know I can just start nailing them down right on top of the template as we go along, okay? So that will be our first step. On your template, you can start anywhere you would like to. You're just going to take your nail, place it on the dot that you have created or that your template has on it, and you're just going to gently hammer it in. And as you're hammering, you want to make sure that when the nail goes in, you are leaving a little bit of space. I would say about a quarter of the nail outside of the wood, so that when you go to put your string around the nails, you'll have space to do so. If you hammer it in too much, you're not going to have space for the string to go around, and if you leave too much of the nail exposed, what's going to happen is when you pull the string to go from nail to nail, your nails are going to come loose, and it's going to be very difficult for you to keep the shape of your mason jar. So go ahead and get started hammering those nails again about a quarter of the way for each nail. Once you're done hammering all your nails in, it's going to look something like this. So you'll have your template or your tracing, and you'll have all your nails hammered in. And again, I left about a quarter of the nail outside of the wood so that I have enough room to put my string on. And so what we're going to do after this, you're going to lay your wood flat, and then we're going to take this string, and it's preferable if you start at a corner. We're going to take this string and we're going to leave a generous amount as a tail, and you're just going to double or triple knot it around your first nail. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead, we're going to do one knot here, Okay, we're gonna tie it taut, and then you're gonna do it one more time. Because my my string is thicker than embroidery thread, I only really have to knot it twice. You'll notice if I pull on that nail, nothing's gonna happen because I've nailed it in tight enough. And then after that, leaving this little end out, I'm gonna take my string and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it around my second nail. Wrap it around once fully, and then when I go to my next nail, I'm going to wrap it around in the opposite direction. And so that way my string is going to be really taut and really tight, and it won't move as I go from nail to nail. So again, you're just going to go in the opposite direction of your last nail. You're going to wrap it around and then proceed to the following nail. Okay, and we're going to do that all the way around your mason jar. And I'm just leaving my string connected. I'm not cutting it yet until the very end, so I can guarantee I have enough string to go the whole way around. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that step, and then we will see what our mason jars look like. Once you've gone all the way around and you have your general outline, which is just the very outside lining of the mason jar and the lip area of your mason jar, you can go ahead and end on your last nail. So I'm going to take my string, wrap it around this end nail right here. Oops. Let's see. I might have to go back. Sometimes this happens. I'm just going to end right on my last nail. And again, leaving a generous amount of string, about this much. I'm just going to cut it. And after I cut that string, again, wrap it around and just tie a quick knot around it. And you could even do a knot right under this string right here. Remember, you're going to have flowers in it, so if you're worried about any knots or anything that could appear, you don't really have to worry so much because chances are it's going to be covered by your bouquet. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, do a quick knot, and then we will move on to our next step, which will be taking out the template from beneath our string. So you can see now my string is tied both in the first place where we started and the last place. You'll notice I still have the string here just in case, but I did cut the ending string, which is over here. That's where I ended. And again, you'll see that right now it's just the outline. And you could have done this step before you went with the string, but I'm just doing it now. You can go ahead and take the template off that you were using. So this whole white paper, this background, can now come off. Now that you have your outline and you're certain of what you did, you're just going to go ahead, and it can be annoying to do because you've nailed it down, but you're just going to go little by little, and you're just going to rip off the paper from the background. And then afterwards you'll be just left with your nail and your string, and then you can make a decision about where to go from there. You can choose to just leave the nail and string the way it is, or you can choose to go in a second time with the string to fill in the mason jar. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my template little by little. You'll see what that looks like, and then we'll make the decision as to whether we want to go in with more thread to fill in this space. Okay, so go ahead and take off your templates. Once I've taken out my template from beneath my nails, I'm going to wind up with something like this. So some people choose to keep it simple, keep an outline, or what you can do is go back in with the string again, and you can either go from nail to nail across, or you can just do kind of a freeform pattern that kind of looks like a mason jar that's full. Whatever you decide to do, that would be your last step before we add our flowers. After you do that, then you would just cut this excess string now that we know that we don't need it anymore, and then we can see what our mason jar bouquet looks like. So I have gone back in with the string, and I decided to just do kind of a free-form zigzag. I went from one side to the next side, from nail to nail, and then after that I just did larger strokes, so I started skipping nails and went from side to side that way. So I got this really cool pattern, and I cut my excess string off, and so now I'm left with my mason jar. Now all you have to do is whatever bouquet you have chosen, you get to take stem by stem. It usually won't work if you have them all in one piece like this. You're going to need to do some cutting. So if you do have a wire cutter, that's really handy. So you can make your stems shorter if you need to fit the mason jar, and also to sever them from the pack. Usually the flowers come all together. So you just want to cut one by one, and that way you can just kind of slide it through your mason jar, and then you're just going to do that one by one, putting them in there. And then at the end, you'll have a beautiful bouquet. So let's see what that looks like. Once you have put in the stems of your bouquet, you'll see you don't need much. I think over here I only have around 6 or 7 stems from my my faux flowers. And so you can see some are shorter than others. Again, it depends on how the flowers came for you and where you cut them with the wire cutter. But this is essentially what you would have. And again, what's great about this project is that with the wood, from the very beginning, you can stain it whatever color you like. You could always pick your flowers out depending on the season. So I want these bright colors for spring and for summer, but maybe for the winter I want to put in some poinsettias or different winter flowers. And so it's really a wonderful piece to have up all year long, so it doesn't have to come down with the seasons. You can always change it up a bit depending on what kind of look you're going for. So I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments, or to take some pictures, do the craft yourself, and share them with us also in the comments. I hope you guys have a really good weekend and enjoy. Take care.